Here's the thing, man. If Roman Dolidze can capitalize on this and he can get this win, Marvin Vettori for a long time was legitimately like the guy to like if you're gonna beat Adesanya, it's Vettori. You fought him a couple times, you lost a couple times, but he was like kind of that guy. If Roman Dolidze can beat Marvin Vettori, you ultimately take that guy's hype. You take all of his you know what I'm trying to say. You take it, and then you move up to now you're in contention for that title shot. You beat the guy that fought the former champion. It's even hard to remember the former champion. You know what I'm saying? You take that spot. So Roman Dolidze, man, great fighter. Jiu-jitsu, phenomenal, very technical, Like he's not a wrestler, he's a grappler, right? And he's got bombs in his hands. So people kind of forget that too, that he's like, he came up as a grappler first, but he could knock your head off your shoulders. But then AJ, man, I think we can be in consensus here. There's something about a Marvin Vettori who has a chin of granite, who walks through anything and has cardio that can go. We don't need to go 5 rounds. Let's go 10 rounds. Marvin Vettori will be able to be ready and be able to go. So I want to know, what do you think intuitively about this matchup, man? When you see this, do you think Marvin Vettori should be a minus 300 favorite? I don't know if he should be. I don't know if I agree with that line. What do you think?
I don't agree with that line. I do think he should be the favorite, especially for the position he's held for such a long time. I mean, this dude, you give him, like you said, Derek, you give him 10 rounds. Your homeboy will show up and be ready every single minute of every single round. But a minus 300 against a very talented and dangerous Dolidze is a bit of a stretch for me, man. I was looking in that 150, 200 range, still close, still a favorite, but not so much that people look at this and see, what is that, a 1.5 to 1, whatever the odds are. It is still shocking to see it that high. I definitely think a lot of people are overlooking Dolidze right here. And maybe it's because of the ground skill, like you said, we saw, Derek, in all of the fights that Vettori has had. This guy is a marauder, but not only a marauder, this guy can take you down and have a skilled and talented and well thought out plan to his fight. Get things going. Yeah, you failed a couple times against the previous champ. Yeah, you can be outpaced in the striking, but if you get your hands on the man, Marvin Vettori is a hell of a night out, man.
So I agree with everything you're saying, but this is where it gets interesting to me, man. We know Marvin Vettori as a phenomenal wrestler, man. Phenomenal. We know him as that's his game plan. Against Adesanya, what's he trying to do? He's trying to take you down. How many takedowns does he average a fight? Almost about 2 takedowns a fight, right? Roman Dolidze, very much, he can wrestle you up. He can grapple you up. He can do whatever. Coming from the grappling background that I have, I see it this way. Marvin Vettori comes in on the takedown against Dolidze. Dolidze says, all right, now perfect opportunity. Let me start working my guard. Let me start doing some fancy shit. Look at his last fight, man. This dude won via calf slicer beating your face in. I can't lie to you, man. The amount of times that video circulated amongst my jiu-jitsu buddies, we're like, flawless jiu-jitsu. I love it, right? Can he do that against a Marvin Vettori? Is it a good idea for the wrestler to come in versus the grappler and then allow him to start using his guard? Now, on one hand, it's MMA. This is not jiu-jitsu, so if you don't get the submission, you lose. But if Roman Dolidze sweeps you from that bottom position to on top, now all of a sudden he's winning. So do we see even a heavy wrestling approach from Marvin Vettori, or is he smart enough to say, let me sit here and I think I can outstrike you. I think that I can have a 3-round striking war with you. Because Dolidze throws bombs, but he's not the quickest, spryest striker in the world.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's not the quickest or the spryest striker, but neither would I say is Marvin Vettori, man. When Marvin gets a little angry, homeboy just starts throwing mallets and winding up, big shots coming over the top. He sees red, and he has that classic blitz, that marauder blitz that we always talk about. So I kind of think Dolidze might outstrike him in that battle. Now, what you're talking about the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, yeah, it sounds dangerous. Going into the lion's den, going into the guard of a like you said, a killer in Dolidze, who's able to put up a different kind of submission that maybe Marvin Vettori hasn't seen. Sounds dangerous, but if history has proven anything, the wrestler is able to take down the jiu-jitsu guy, and as they're working things on their back, as they're trying to do all this stuff, set up all the attacks that you can. Vettori is just punching your face in. Even if he doesn't finish you, it looks bad to the judges. Your back's against the mat. You're in the less dominant position. It's a lot harder to win a fight that way if you don't get the finish. Now, can he get the finish? I think so, man. Dolidze is very, very talented. But I also think it's a little more likely that Vettori's going to be that wet blanket, be the dude that's just on top the whole time, not getting swept and putting his hands in your face. That's how I see Vettori winning this fight.
Yeah, I hear you 100%, man. I will just say, you look at the last three opponents of Dolidze, Jack Hermanson, wrestler, right? You knocked him out, but you really trapped him up in that pretzel. Phil Hawes knocked him to another galaxy. And then Kyle Dawkins, who, I mean, it's tough. He's, might not be built for that weight class. Might need to be a welterweight, you know what I'm saying? But either way, if you look at Marvin Vettori, though, you have to argue this dude fought way better competition. We're talking about Robert Whitaker, Paulo Costa, Israel Adesanya, Kevin Holland, Jack Hermanson, Carl Roberson, Andrew Sanchez. Like, just the competition's better. It's a little more steep, right? So for that reason, I do like Marvin Vettori. I do think that he's the more experienced fighter. I think that he's the more chiseled veteran. And I think that given the proper game plan, if we don't see angry Marvin, which is, not our favorite Marvin, but if we don't see him, I think that he can win this fight. And then you have to think, Roman Dolidze is not the type of fighter with a fight style like Adesanya that can make Marvin Vettori angry Marvin, right? It doesn't really possess that same style. So you can argue, out of the last couple of fighters that he's fought, this is probably the best matchup he's had since, Kevin Holland, right? You know what I mean? Like, in terms of just a path to victory, an ability to kind of get in there and see a solid path. Because Paulo Costa, on the other hand, even though he decisioned him, he got a performance of the night on that one, high striking volume, Roman Dolidze is no Paulo Costa. You know what I'm saying? So this might be too big of a test for Dolidze right now, but be honest with me right here, because I want to talk long-term assessment. Can you see Roman Dolidze being in that top 3 in this division?
Top 3, yes. Champions, a little bit more of a stretch. And top 5, definitely, man. Dolidze has the skill to get it done. What worries me a little bit more about Dolidze is not necessarily the X's and O's. This dude can get it done, but do people care about a Roman Dolidze who kind of falls off after the fight happens? He doesn't really have any press lead up, and it could be a language thing. It could be a region thing. Maybe I'm pretty sure Romania, wherever he's from.
I believe he's a Georgian.
Georgian, yeah, well, and that's the thing, man. Georgians, they're huge over there, so I'm sure the Georgian crowd is going to show up in force. But how do we transform him into that next level of stardom and get some eyes on this guy, because he's talented enough to get it done? I think this is a stepping stone. If he can get one on Vettori, if he can get a star-studded knockout, people start calling for his name, they see the holes that Dolidze presents. If this is an actual dogfight, if Vettori can expose some things, but then Dolidze gets the finish, then we're talking about championship material, top 3, top 5, all that kind of jazz. But until then, I kind of think Dolidze fades off into the ether. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, Derek, but do you see a lot of people clamoring for a Dolidze fight?
No, to the casual, I don't think people know who he is at all, right? To us, so he's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But I think even the casual knows of Marvin Vettori. They know Angry Marvin. You've seen the man get angry, yell at people on stage and shit like that. Like, we've seen it. So, yeah, I do think Marvin Vettori brings bigger hype, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to winning a fight, it doesn't matter about hype. It just matters about skill. And I think Roman Dolidze possesses the skill set to win this fight, but I think Marvin Vettori has the other intangibles that will lead him to victory. So with that being said, I hate to go this route, but I do think in classic Marvin Vettori style, he wins via decision. Minus 135, I would not play that line. Minus 300, I would not play that line. I would actually stay away from this in totality, but given we make picks here, I'm picking decision, Marvin Vettori. How do you see it?
Man, I hate to go with you on a second decision again, Derek, but this is really the biggest way I think Marvin wins this fight, man. And as boring as it is to a casual or as a stuff, man, wet blanket Marvin is a lot more dangerous than angry Marvin. I think that's what we're going to see, the solid wrestling performance right here. Give me Marvin Vettori. Give me that minus 135 decision. But if you're putting money on it, folks, hold on right there. Don't do that, okay? Either way, like I said, decision.
That's right. All right, brother.